Friends, I am Dr. Amdekar, and over the last 200 plus videos, we have been discussing analysis of symptoms, physical signs, and relevant investigations. From this time onwards, we would now discuss some of the important issues concerned with therapy. And in this video, I am going to talk about the principles of therapy. Friends, the drug treatment is the important part of therapy, but that is not just all, because it is only focused disease process, whereas a therapy has a broad spread of what we must be doing, and therefore therapy is really a goal oriented process, which means it takes care of the health of the individual and not just the disease. And this is important because every disease has a physical, mental, and a social aspects of the suffering, and therefore it is a therapy beyond just drugs that is intended to help the sufferer to heal first and to grow thereafter. And this is the importance of therapy beyond just drug therapy. And we all know that most of the time we forget this aspect, and therefore I thought I would not only talk about principles of drug therapy but also beyond. Of course, the drugs are the most commonly prescribed process in our dealing with patient care, and therefore we must understand the basic principles behind it. Well, drugs are of different types: curative, symptomatic or palliative, preventive, as well as even a placebo therapy. And to that extent, the dosage and the frequency of administration of drugs depends largely on pharmacokinetic principles, and by that we mean what body does to the drug in terms of absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. And depending on that, the standard dosages are well known to us, but we need to kind of titrate them to the specific needs of individual patient related to the age, nutrition, immune status, and more important, if any renal or hepatic dysfunction, then the dosages and the frequency of administration needs to be changed accordingly to suit such variables, and that is important. Similarly, the duration of antibiotic, for example, a curative drug, would depend on the type of disease and the organisms. Majority of common bacterial infection need an antibiotic duration for about 5 to 7 days or sometimes 10 days, but a deep-seated infections like say endocarditis or osteomyelitis may need even a longer duration, and hence we need to follow all that based on pharmacokinetic principles and also pharmacodynamic principles, which means what does the drug do to the body. Now, this is important because we need to assess a therapeutic index, which means the safety index of a given drug. And therefore, friends, it's best not to use many fixed drug combinations unless they are approved, like an anti-TB drugs can be used as a fixed drug formulation, and that is well studied and well known. But otherwise, an individual drug would really make us know the safety of a drug and a good therapeutic index. And then we are also concerned about the pharmacogenomics, where a genetic makeup of a given patient may need alteration of a drug. And this is known more often in a targeted therapy like for cancer, where the drugs attack an actual cycle of multiplication of cancer cells, and therefore the dosages are not just given frequently 3 or 4 times a day, but it could be a variable depending on the multiplication cycles of cancer therapy, and this is a targeted therapy. And then also there is a chronotherapy for drugs, which means that we need to know at which time of the day or night we need to give a drug. And as we know, the steroids are given preferably early in the morning in a single dose because it coincides with a natural rhythm of our hormonal processes, and therefore chronotherapy also is an important part of this. This much then about the curative drugs that we use and also a symptomatic drugs. Now I want to emphasize, what does this symptom mean? Friends, fever is not a symptom. Fever is just a complaint, whereas the symptom is the discomfort caused by fever. And therefore, when we talk about symptomatic therapy, we need to give for fever paracetamol only when a given patient is uncomfortable because of fever, not otherwise. And we all know that fever is a friend and not a foe, and we don't want to crash down fever, but we want to relieve the discomfort caused by fever. And same is true about every other complaint. It could be a cough, for example, and we need to give a drug only if necessary and not otherwise. And this is important to decide about the symptomatic therapy. It cannot be given 3 times a day or 4 times a day, and that is not the way to go about it. And then, of course, preventive therapy. Many times, when there is a risk of a disease due to a contact, like say tuberculosis, then we even give to a normal person a preventive drug therapy so as to prevent the infection itself. That's why further the disease process is also prevented. And in a UTI, for example, caused by a vesiculourethral reflux of higher grade, one may need a prophylactic antibiotic, a preventive therapy, and we know all that. But finally, even placebo therapy has its own place, though not commonly. And what is this placebo therapy? We give a drug which has no active ingredient, but because the patient has a full belief on the doctor and the drug, the patient starts feeling better. This is not only the psychological process but also partly physiological, because when the mind is at ease and confident that the drug given would work, the neurotransmitter messages go right up to the brain and make our symptoms reasonably controlled or tolerable. And therefore, these are the different types of therapies that we use as far as the drugs are concerned. But friends, as I mentioned to begin with, there is something beyond. And what is that beyond? Every diseased person has a problem in the mind as well as the social aspect of that disease. And we need to consider whether we could help them as well. And I think these are done by many different processes which are available to us. For example, if you talk to the patient, communicate well, and counsel well, and that develops really a patient's faith and confidence in you, then his mind is calm and cool, strong, and then that stimulates the immune system, which acts favorably, and the patient gets cured. Friends, it's not doctors who cure the patients, but the patients themselves. And to facilitate that, it's not only the drugs, but also the communication and counseling. And that takes care of a psychotherapy of every patient who has always some fear in the mind, and that needs to be addressed. And this is also true as far as the mother of a sick child is concerned, that we treat the mother as well. Well, there are other types of therapies, surgery and radiation as a complement to a drug therapy in relevant situations. And then there are occupational therapy, physiotherapy, speech therapy, and also a therapy for special education for those who have a neurodevelopmental problem. Friends, then to summarize today's video message, we need to know many more things about the drug, the basic principles, and how to titrate the dose to suit an individual. And of course, beyond that, Don't forget to counsel and communicate well with the patient. A time spent for such consultation is important because that helps ultimately the cure and the benefit to the patient. In the following videos, we will discuss individual therapeutic problems, and I hope you continue to join our video series. Thank you very much.